Our film begins with a group of hunters heading into the forest to search for a specific plant. They had prepared themselves with modern weapons to face the dangers they would encounter in the forest. At this time, one of the hunters saw a beautiful girl wearing snakeskin on her body. We noticed something strange running towards the hunters quickly. What could this thing be? So far, it is hidden and no one has seen it. Suddenly, a giant snake appears and attacks the hunters. They start shooting at it in hopes of killing it and saving themselves. But things turn against them as the giant snake becomes more aggressive and starts killing them one by one. One of the hunters, while fleeing, falls into a cave. After that, he begins to explore the cave and finds something shining inside it. In fact, it is a demonic plant called the Shining Plant. We know that this is the plant the hunters came to discover. So the man contacts one of them and says, "We finally found the plant." After that, the girl wearing the snakeskin appears wandering in the cave. The man keeps looking at her and thinking of something bad. Suddenly, the giant snake appears and without any warning attacks the man and kills him. Here we learn that the giant snake and the girl have had a strong bond for a long time and love each other very much. In another scene, we see a group of investors sitting in the same forest, and they were not satisfied with the president named Chang Yi for this mission because he had not shown them the profit map yet. Chang Yi asked his main scientist, named Lin, to talk about the project. Lin told the investors that the operation they are currently working on is successful, and very soon, they will obtain the shining plant that will turn things around. Here, the investors praise Lin and tell him, "You are the ideal chief scientist, so we don't want to put your life at risk by sending you there, because those who go there do not return." Chang's daughter intervenes and tells the investors, "Don't worry, rest assured and put a watermelon in your stomach because he will go with Xiaoya, our best security officer, and he is not only very skilled at his job, but he is also the only one who survived the last operation." When they heard this, one of the investors said, "Well, you have reassured me, but honestly, I am still not ready for this operation." After that, a butterfly comes and lands on the table, and suddenly Xiaoyan throws a dagger at it and kills it, revealing that one of Xiaoyan's eyes is a robotic eye. The next day, Lin went with Xiaoyan and his team to complete the research project. At this time, we see the girl, the snake who lives with the giant snake, watching them. After a while, they arrived near the cave, but suddenly bats began to attack them. Xiaoyan's men pulled out their weapons and started shooting at them. They quickly turned to escape from them and finally managed to get rid of the bats. But alas, the giant snake emerged from the water and knocked them all off the boat and began to attack them. Xiaoya and his team fled quickly, but Lin drowned in the water. At that moment, the snake girl comes and tries to save Lin's life. When she sees them, the giant snake comes toward them as well. On the other side, Xiaoya is running toward the forest with his team while simultaneously planting atomic bombs on the trees. They were preparing with all the weapons they had to attack the giant snake. Xiaoyan saw a skeleton in the forest and began to remember all the past memories with his pet eye. The giant snake appears there, and he sees the flashback. The bombs they planted in the trees begin to explode due to the snake's rapid movements. After that, Xiaoyan's men attack the snake with an advanced weapon to the extent that it cannot move from its place, and thus the snake cannot attack them. On the other side, the snake girl Lin emerges from the water. He was still unconscious, and she was sitting next to him. After that, Lin wakes up, but the snake girl hears the sound of the giant snake, so she runs toward the sound to save her snake friend. At this time, Xiaoyan aims an arrow at the giant snake. The snake girl arrives and stands in front of the snake and sacrifices herself for her friend. Unfortunately, the arrow hits her, and she falls to the ground. When the giant snake sees this, it goes insane and starts killing Xiaoyan's men one by one, and they all die because of what they did. Lin also arrives there, finds the snake girl injured and bruised, and she has fainted. He immediately carries her and leaves the place. The girl was still unconscious and did not wake up. Lin holds her bracelet and looks at her with concern. Here, the girl dreams that the giant snake is approaching her to save her. After that, she wakes up and finds herself in a strange place with many things she has never seen before, and she is puzzled about how she got there. On the other hand, Lin examines the snake girl's bracelet and realizes that this bracelet contains 1% of the plant they are looking for. After a while, Lin contacts Chang, the head of the research project, and informs him of everything he has reached. Chang encourages him and supports him to continue. After that, Lin told Chang that this girl might have been living with the giant snake since her childhood, so he wants to search for her and keep her here. After that, Chang's daughter comes to Lin, and here the snake girl takes her bracelet from there and escapes without anyone seeing her. When Lin learns that she has escaped, he runs after her to catch her. The snake girl, while running, reaches a couple sitting together. She looks at them in astonishment. This is the first time she has encountered humans, so she does not understand anything and is puzzled by everything around her. After that, the scene shifts to three boys who sold some batteries and made some money. So they decided to throw a party for the occasion and brought some drinks. They were doing very well. Here, the snake girl sees the three boys, and of course, this is the first time she has seen boys, so she approaches them. One of them is operating the battery, but they are all stunned by the strange girl passing by. The electricity caught them, and they all began to get electrocuted, and it got worse when the alcohol fell on the ground. The snake girl slipped beside them and fell, and the electricity caught her too. They took enough electricity to power a factory. At this time, the giant snake feels the same pain that the snake girl feels and screams in agony. So it takes itself and crawls toward the residential area to save the snake girl. Here, Lin arrives at the snake girl's location and quickly pulls the plug before the electricity drains their blood. He carries the girl and takes her with him. The next day, Lin starts teaching her how to live like humans, but the snake girl feels that their way of life is very tiring. And what are these dresses? How are they worn? Lin begins to focus with the girl. He realizes that the giant snake has become huge because it ate the shining plant, which means it was an ordinary snake and turned into a giant snake because of this plant. Not only that, but the snake girl and the giant snake feel each other's pain. Elsewhere, we see Xiaoya, who survived the giant snake but was very angry and wanted revenge on the snake that killed his friends. And here we see the giant snake reaching the residential area to save the snake girl. There was a businessman sitting and talking to someone on his mobile phone, and his little daughter was playing with her scooter around him. The scooter rolled away from her and went toward a tree. The giant snake pushed the scooter toward the girl. Did the girl stay quiet? Of course not. She rode the scooter and went toward the tree. She saw the giant snake and sat looking at it. The snake was also standing looking at her. Here, people came from behind and kidnapped the little girl. They took her in the car, and the girl was sitting in the car scared. The giant snake crawled toward the car. When the kidnappers saw her, they were terrified. They let the little girl out of the car as bait for the giant snake to eat her and leave them. But the opposite happens. The snake wraps its body around the car and crushes it. Then it lifts it into the air and swallows it. After what happened, the little girl sees an arrow in the giant snake's body. She pulls the arrow from its body, and the pain eases a little for the snake. Here, the snake girl feels the same pain, so she wakes up from her sleep. She tried to explain something to Lin about the snake. Lin takes her on his motorcycle and quickly drops her off. She tells him where the snake is so they can get there. They found the arrow that the girl pulled from the giant snake's body. Meanwhile, the snake was at the riverbank. It spat the car out of its mouth and threw it into the water. There was a man standing there who, when he saw her, was terrified and ran away. The giant snake went down into the water. After that, the girl went to the place where the snake was, but she did not find it because it had gone down into the water and disappeared. The next day, news of the giant snake spread throughout the entire city. After that, the police and snake hunters also began searching for it to capture it. They conduct an interview on television with the little girl who was saved by the snake from the kidnappers. On the other hand, Chang's daughter tells her father the information that the snake girl and the giant snake have the ability to feel each other. If we exploit this point, we can easily catch the big snake. Thus, we can conduct our research freely. But Lin tells them that they are not ready for that. He told Chang's daughter that she does not know how dangerous this snake is. If anyone gets close to the girl, Zirania, it will kill him. After that, Chang takes Lin with him and says, "Look, I will explain to you now. If someone else catches the snake, you know what they will do to her. But I am kind and will not do anything to her. I will return her and the snake girl to the forest, honored and respected, and no one will approach them." Lin told them that they have no safe place other than the house they lived in, and that they should return there. They join the channel and go to take the snake girl with him to the place where he sits and talks to her about his family. Lin was sad as he talked about them. The snake girl holds his hand and comforts him, telling him to smile for her. Here, Chang and his men come and sedate Lin, take the snake girl, and set a trap for the snake. They begin to electrocute her with high voltage. Lin starts to regain consciousness and sees the girl suffering, but he cannot move and help her. At that time, the giant snake feels the electricity that the snake girl felt, so it heads toward the place where she is to save her. But they surround the girl with electrified iron at high voltage. The closer the snake gets to save her, the more electric shocks it receives. Again and again, the snake cannot resist and loses consciousness, falling to the ground. The scientists working with Chang begin to conduct experiments on the giant snake and take samples from it. At that time, Lin begins to regain consciousness. His blood is boiling from what is happening. When he gets up to leave, the guards stop him and prevent him from going out. Chang tells him, "Why are you so mean? Let him go out." Lin was very angry and decided to save the giant snake and the snake girl at any cost. On the other side, the scientists try to determine the age of the giant snake. They discover that it is 350 years old. After that, Lin reaches the snake girl and saves her. He tries to do anything to revive her quickly. He performs CPR and revives her heart, but to no avail. The girl does not respond. Lin was very sad and began to cry because he truly loved her and because she had saved him from drowning earlier, and now he cannot save her. At that time, his eyes fell on a nearby battery. He began to use it to give the girl an electric shock to revive her heart, but the girl did not respond. Lin blames himself for being the reason for everything that happened, and that if he had not brought the girl here, none of this would have happened. Suddenly, the girl woke up, and with that, the giant snake also woke up. Everyone around her quickly fled in fear. Chang and his team began to shoot at her, but the snake was attacking them violently. They were all terrified of her and began to flee from the place. Chang's daughter tried to control the situation, but the giant snake threw a tank at them. Chang and his daughter were seriously injured, and his daughter died instantly. But Xiaoyan was still resisting and had not lost hope. He attacked the giant snake with all his might, and it fell. The girl had arrived there. The scene shifts, showing the next day. We learn that the giant snake is still alive, and the snake girl stands and pets it. At that time, Lin also arrives there, but the snake girl thinks he is a villain like the others. Here, Lin pets the giant snake in the same way that the snake girl felt, so the giant snake loves him and does not harm him. But how will the mischievous little snake love the snake girl? After that, the giant snake and the snake girl return to the cave where they lived. Lin follows them. When he enters the cave, he finds many plant samples of the shining plant they had been searching for all this time. It appears that the girl is still angry with Lin. Suddenly, Lin found a tracking device on the giant snake's corpse. Here he knew that Chang and his men were on their way to the cave. Indeed, Chang's team approached them. Lin was thinking about what he would do to save them. He immediately exited the cave. He found Chang and his men standing outside. Lin tried to prevent them from what they intended to do. He pulled out the tracking device they had attached to the snake's body, but Chang shot him in the leg. Here, Lin grabbed the gun and put it to his heart and told him that he would end all the pressure on him and shot himself. Due to the sound, the bats appeared and began to attack them again. Chang's men started to retreat while shooting at them, but the bats were killing them one by one. At that time, Chang entered the cave, and he was very excited to see the shining plant he had dreamed of for all those years. But the snake girl appeared and the giant snake came and swallowed Chang. Lin was shot outside the cave. The snake girl went toward him and saw him bleeding, and she was very sad for him and cried. Lin extended his hand and gave her his bracelet. A flashback appears, and we know that Lin, before he died, knew the truth about the blood he had given to the snake girl before, as he was conducting his research, and he knew that her blood contained the same substance found in the shining plant, but he erased all the details he had reached in his research, even though this truth would have made his research more successful and made him famous. But he insisted on hiding it to protect the girl he loved. In the end, Chang's company was shut down due to the illegal scientific research it was conducting. At the end of the film, the little girl appears with the snake girl, and they are in harmony with each other, and the giant snake is beside them, taking care of them. And so, our film ends today, and I will see